I think when the first and foremost thing that has prevented terrorism is the policies of the former president Rawlings. Um, his attitude, policies, particularly towards the Muslim segment of Ghana, had been very proactive and very progressive. And one of the main challenges that West Africa and the Sahel region faced was that colonialism came in two forms. While the Western world was coming from the littoral or the coastal states towards the north, Arabic or Islamic civilization was coming from the Sahara down the coast. Now, what happened is that at the end of colonialism, most people who were educated in the Arabic scholarship cannot work in the formal secular sector that was largely Western and not Arabic. And Rawlings solved this problem in Ghana in 1995 by creating the Islamic unit of the Ghana Education Service. So in Ghana, whether you are Muslim or you are Christian, you can have your Muslim education, but at the same time have the Western secular education, and examination was one. So social mobility, people could work across borders. Now, one other thing that he promoted, as I have said earlier on, was that he was largely pro-Islamic groups in Ghana, particularly what we call Zongos in Ghana. And he led to their development, places like Nima and other places. He brought so many social amenities to them that were non-existent. And what he encouraged was what? Interfaith, religious group interfaith collaboration. Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, and all traditionalists all were meeting regularly to discuss their differences. So Ghana was in a way kind of accommodating each other, and we don't have that sort of thing. Because of that, the only form of occasional religious problems we have is intra-Islamic religion, which largely has been between the Tijaniya movement and the Al-Sunnah or the Salafist movement. I think this is one of the reasons. Another reason is the creation of what? Peace organizations like the Ghana National Peace Council. An association of this group is made largely of traditional rulers and various religious groups. So again, this also promotes interfaith dialogue in between them. And besides that, Ghana intermarriage between Christians and Muslims are a commonplace, and inter-ethnic marriage. Because of that, Ghanaians largely don't see each other as different based on Christianity or Islam from that matter. And I must again say that our governments have been very active. They have continued from where President Rawlings left, and they have been engaging communities, faith organizations in such a manner that nobody feels intimidated. And when you look at government in Ghana, for example, the president may be a Christian, but the vice president is often or almost always a Muslim. So it's like everybody is included. It is a form of inclusive government. So I think this is it. And I must also say that we are blessed with a good vegetation. We are blessed with good environment, that despite that there are no formal jobs, people can farm and do all other sorts of things. So economically, Ghana is more vibrant than most other West African countries, and for this reason, religious militancy is not an issue that people actually think about. Yeah, I just finished a study in the three northern regions called Border Security Perception. It's work that I have done for the European Union, and we try to find out what are the fault lines or what are the loopholes that may be exploited. We look at ethnicity. In Africa, in Ghana, our borders are not like European borders, though sometimes it is similar, whereby the same ethnic group, some are found in Ghana, some are found in Ivory Coast, some are found in Togo, some are found in Ghana, some are found in Burkina Faso, and some are found. And these people, despite the international boundaries, they carry their lives, daily lives on as if there is no boundary at all. They marry in between. Sometimes they go to school across borders. And sometimes when there are funerals, there are celebrations, festivals, anniversaries, they jointly celebrate it. So we look at it and look at it carefully and see and whether this will become a threat to Ghana. For example, militant groups exploiting such festivals and other things. But then what we found out was that the communities, though they are large, they know each other, and anytime there is a stranger among them, they identify the person as a stranger. So what we did was that we rather educated the communities and empowered them to report anything that they've seen or anything that they worry about to either the assemblyman, their chief, or to the police. We've also looked at cross-border trade, and we examine it if bombs and other things can be smuggled across, and for that matter. And what we have done in that study was to engage the transport unions, asked to be worried, asked to take more care when loading things and when passengers come, in order to profile them if they are suspicious of them and how to report. We look at various things and realize that the porous nature of our borders and the solidarity between the various communities rather serves as a strength in protecting us against. The only one thing that we identified that we were worried about is the Fulani ethnic group. They are herdsmen who are migrating largely from Niger, Mali, and sometimes Burkina Faso. It is not that they are being stigmatized in our study, but what we found out was that often when they migrate into Ghana, sometimes only one family has an apartment or a room. But within a short time, a lot of their relatives or friends visit them. And this was a point of concern for us, to the extent that we educated landlords that should one person rent a place from you and the number increase, report to the authorities or find out what is happening. So largely we would say in Ghana that the studies we've carried out, there are no signs that Ghana is immediately threatened. And there is an Accra initiative that is ongoing, that is an ECOWAS initiative whereby joint military, custom, prisons, police are being trained in a way as to identify probable militants and how to handle them. And they are also being trained in soft border management as to make themselves acceptable to the community, so that the communities can easily report issues to them than rather be frightened by them. So I think the policies are working. Our socio-cultural aspects are supporting peace in Ghana. But what we have warned in that report is that we should not feel too comfortable about the lack of threat at this moment. And what we have also said in the report is that it is important that the Ghana government have a very cordial relationship with Burkina Faso, with Togo, with Ivory Coast and other West African countries, so that even if there is upheaval in those countries, information and intelligence sharing will pre-warn the Ghana government that they will take initiatives that they have to take in order to prevent any attack happening in Ghana. Recently, there has not been anybody who has been arrested as a terrorist in Burkina Faso. During the study that I mentioned, the border security perception study, we asked this carefully. And what we were told is that often what happens is armed robbers and people who are cattle restless that sometimes run into Ghana or flee into Ghana. And there have been a large collaboration between the various security organizations of the various countries, so such people are quickly rounded up. But in the past, you will remember that there was what we call the Christmas bomber who passed through from Nigeria through Kotoka Airport before he was arrested on his way to New York. There were also reports that there were some Al-Qaeda activities activists who were moving from Liberia, and before they got hold of them, they disappeared. These were the only incidences, but recently, most of the times, it's organized crime groups and petty criminals that are arrested across the borders. Yeah, it's true. When Ghana signed the defense pact with the US, I was very critical of that because the terms of the agreements were not very clear, and the processes that were followed, I think, disadvantaged Ghana, so I was very critical. But that said and done, terrorism is a global thing and it concerns everybody. I am not against the training of Ghanaians or Ghana military per se. What I was against is the establishment of a US military base in Ghana. I felt that will create a lot of social crisis. Having stayed in Japan and know what happened in Okinawa and that sort of thing, I believe there will be a lot of problems. My criticism of the counterterrorism that is ongoing is not because time and resources are being done. But what I am worried about is that the state and society in Africa are completely different from the state and society in Europe and the state and society in America. For that matter, I believe that our governments, their legitimacy, the reach of the formal government in West African states are also limited. So from this perspective, if the Western world, particularly the United States of America, define terrorism based upon their conviction and also stipulate plans how to solve it based upon their conviction, I believe that there will not be optimal success. And we have already seen that their advice or their plans are mostly military in nature. But the country that is worse off as far as Islamic militancy or religious militancy is concerned is Burkina Faso presently. And Burkina Faso is the home to NATO forces, the home to American forces, the home to French forces. And if military solution exists, then Burkina Faso should be freed of what? Militants. But then my last information was that about 90% of Burkina Faso is now controlled by militants. And we can also get answers not only from Burkina Faso, but can look at Iraq, can look at Libya, can look at Afghanistan, and realize that military solution per se is not a solution. Well, somebody will ask me, what are you talking about? Our governments or states are not able to provide the needs of their people. And sociology will teach you that in times like these, people fall on subgroups, religious organizations, ethnic groups, traditional relations, and other forms of things, sometimes NGOs. So the relationship that they have with these religious groups, traditional organizations, and that sort of thing, they don't necessarily look at it from a terrorist perspective, but people that are trying to help them. What I'm trying to say is that if we are going to find terrorism in West Africa, if there is going to be successful counter-terrorism in West Africa, we have to engage subgroups. Groups like traditional authorities, religious leaders, whether they are Muslims or they are Christians or they are traditionalists, we have to engage other forms of opinion leaders and seek their view that how should this problem be solved. Their views may not be the alchemy or the solution to the crisis, but at least they will give us some insight into the dynamics of terrorism. So this is my approach, and when this is eventually done, we will begin to understand how best to solve terrorism. The person we are calling a terrorism in West Africa is a father, is a brother, is a son, and he belongs to a subgroup. And the only way we can fight distance is to mobilize these subgroups as constituencies for peace in order to what? Channel the energies in. But if we go with the gun, we go with all kinds of sophisticated arms, and it doesn't resonate with the communities in which these things are taking place, we will not be successful. This is my personal view. And I believe that we have to understand how society works, how people live, and that sort of thing. And I also want to add that the main way of solving militancy in West Africa is an economic reconstruction, is environmental reconstruction. Because once people do not have livelihoods, once people don't know where the next food is coming, they become gullible to all kinds of ideas, people who promise or supply them with their basic needs. So fighting terrorism in West Africa should be multifaceted. It should be multi-pronged. We should approach it from all kinds of levels. And I would wish that the heavy military presence, the arms, the drones, the helicopters flying, threatening, should be lessened, and there should be more dialogue. This is why I'm concerned with the main Western powers who have policies that we do not dialogue with terrorists, we do not dialogue with terrorist groups. There is no way we will find solution to this if we do not dialogue with people who differ from us or people who we are calling militants. Yeah, as I have started off, Ghana has largely been a country of dialogue. There are so many differences. There are so many reasons why people should fight each other, but then we talk with each other. Families interact, ethnic groups interact, religious groups interact. And when there are differences, you have to engage them. For example, we have the Togo Study Group which want to secede from Ghana based upon the 1960 plebiscite. But it has been dialogue that has kept the conflict manageable up to this point. So my idea is that we should what? Dialogue more and more. This may be very difficult. People will ask, how do we get the traditional rulers? How do we get groups and talk to them? But as I have pointed out, every country, in every region, in every state, in every district, we have leaderships that we can fall on. Besides that, there are transport unions, there are fishermen associations, there are landlords associations, there are all kinds of identifiable groups that we can fall on and build a soft management of counter-terrorism. And I think this is what works in places like Iraq. After the invasion of Iraq, when there was insurgency against the US, they have to fall on groups that eventually were fighting the Islamists for them. And that was how success came. Foreigners cannot come with all the heavy armada and be successful in fighting terrorism. And also, one thing particularly concerning France, what should be clear is that they should separate politics, humanitarian aid, from their natural resource exploitation. It appears that the melange or a combination of these things is creating crisis, and people do not know what their true intention is in West Africa, whether it is one of what? Exploitation of natural resources, humanitarian intervention, or fighting terrorism. And these things must be made very clear in order to provide a way forward.